Do you know why most people stay poor all their lives? It's not because they are lazy. It's not because they are unlucky. It's because they secretly think like poor people. Here's the painful truth. A poor mindset can live inside a rich man's house, and a rich mindset can live inside a man with empty pockets. That's why lottery winners often lose everything. And that's why immigrants who arrive with nothing sometimes become millionaires. It's not about money in your wallet. It's about the program running in your mind. And right now, that program is either building your future or silently destroying it. So listen carefully, because once you see the difference between poor thinking and rich thinking, you will never see money or yourself the same way again. The first and biggest difference between poor mindset and rich mindset is how they see money. For the poor mindset, money is something to be spent. When they get paid, the first question is, what can I buy? What can I enjoy right now? They look at money as a ticket for pleasure. New clothes, new phone, fast food, a short trip. It disappears quickly, and they wait again for the next paycheck. For the rich mindset, money is something to be grown. When they get paid, the first question is, how can I multiply this? How can I make this work for me? They see money as a tool to invest, a tool to create, a tool to build freedom. Here's an example. Two people both receive $1,000. The poor mindset spends it on a new TV and dinners out. The rich mindset buys books, skills, or starts a small project that can bring more income in the future. 10 years later, the TV is broken, the dinners are forgotten. But the skills, the projects, they are still paying dividends. This is why poor people often say, I can't afford to invest. But rich people say, I can't afford not to invest. It's not about how much you have. It's about how you use what you have. And that choice, to spend or to grow, is what creates the gap between poverty and wealth. The second difference between poor and rich mindset is how they think about work. For the poor mindset, work is only a duty. It's something they must do to survive. They trade their hours for money, and once the day is finished, they disconnect completely. Their question is always, how many hours do I need to work? How much will they pay me? Work is a burden, something to escape from. For the rich mindset, work is an opportunity. It's not just about the paycheck, it's about growth. They ask, what can I learn here? How can this connect me to better chances? How can this skill help me in the future? This is why poor mindset employees avoid extra effort. They say, that's not my job. But rich mindset thinkers use extra effort as training. They say, every skill I add makes me more valuable. Here's a story. Two young men worked in the same company. One did the minimum, just enough not to get fired. He wanted weekends, parties, and comfort. The other went further. He stayed after hours to learn from his boss. He asked questions. He read books connected to the business. 5 years later, the first man was still in the same position, complaining about low salary. The second man had opened his own company, using the knowledge he gained. The poor mindset sees work as slavery. The rich mindset sees work as a stepping stone to freedom. The poor says, I work for money. The rich says, I work to learn, so money will later work for me. That's the difference. The third major difference between poor and rich mindset is the way they deal with responsibility. A poor mindset always looks for someone to blame. They say things like, it's the government's fault. The economy is bad. My boss doesn't pay enough. Rich people are just lucky. Blaming feels comfortable because it removes responsibility. If everything is someone else's fault, then you don't need to change. You can just stay where you are, complain, and wait for life to magically improve. But here's the truth. That day never comes. Waiting for the world to save you is the mindset of a victim, and victims never win. The rich mindset is the opposite. Rich thinkers take responsibility for their own lives, even when things go wrong. They say, if I don't like my situation, I must change it. If I don't earn enough, I must learn new skills. If I fail, it's my lesson, and I will grow stronger. This attitude is powerful. Because when you take responsibility, you also take control. And when you have control, you can change everything. Here's an example. Two students both fail an English exam. The poor mindset says, "The teacher is unfair. The exam was too hard. It's not my fault." The rich mindset says, "I didn't prepare enough. I need a better method. I must improve." Guess which one passes the next exam? It's the same with money, success, and life. Poor thinkers stay in the same place because they wait for rescue. Rich thinkers rise because they take ownership. One mindset says, "It's not my fault." The other says, "It's my responsibility, and I will fix it." That single shift creates two completely different futures. The fourth difference between poor and rich mindset is their relationship with risk. A poor mindset fears risk. They see risk as danger, as something to avoid at all costs. Their inner voice says, "What if I lose? What if I fail? What if people laugh at me?" Because of this fear, they stay in the same job for decades. They never try a side project. They never invest. They never step into the unknown. Yes, they feel safe. But safe does not mean successful. Safe often means stuck. The rich mindset sees risk differently. For them, risk is not a monster, it's a doorway. A doorway to growth, freedom, and new opportunities. Rich thinkers ask, "What will I gain if this works? And if it doesn't, what can I learn?" They understand a secret. Failure is temporary. Regret is permanent. Here's a story. Two women both wanted to start online businesses. The poor mindset woman said, "What if I lose money? What if no one buys?" So she did nothing. The rich mindset woman said, "I might fail, but at least I'll learn." She started small, made mistakes, corrected them, and after a year, she was earning more than in her job. One avoided risk and gained nothing. The other embraced risk and gained freedom. The truth is simple. If you avoid all risks, you avoid all opportunities. Winners understand this. Losers hide from it. And that is why poor people stay poor. The fifth difference between poor and rich mindset is time perspective. Poor thinkers live in the short term. They want pleasure now. They ask, "What will I get today? What will make me happy right now?" That's why they love instant rewards, fast food, quick entertainment, small luxuries. It feels good in the moment, but it costs them in the future. Rich thinkers play the long game. They are willing to sacrifice now for a bigger reward later. They ask, "What will this decision give me in 5 years? 10 years?" That's why they invest. That's why they save. That's why they spend months, even years, building something before it pays off. Here's an example. A poor mindset person says, "I earned $500, I'll buy new clothes." A rich mindset person says, "I earned $500, I'll invest $300, and in a few years, that money will grow." One has temporary pleasure. The other builds permanent security. Think about English learning. The poor mindset student says, "Why study today? It's boring. I'll just watch Netflix in my own language." The rich mindset student says, "I'll practice every day for 1 year. It's hard now, but later I will be fluent." And who wins? The one who thinks long-term. Poor mindset asks, "How can I survive today?" Rich mindset asks, "How can I build tomorrow?" That one question creates the difference between poverty and freedom. The sixth difference between poor and rich mindset is their attitude toward learning. Poor thinkers believe education ends after school. They think, "I finished my degree. That's enough. Why should I learn more?" They spend their free time only on entertainment, TV, games, gossip. Rich thinkers never stop learning. They see knowledge as the most powerful investment. They say, "If I learn one new skill, I can open a new door. If I read one new book, I can change my thinking." That's why the poor mindset spends money on things, while the rich mindset spends money on courses, books, mentors, and seminars. Here's a story. Two young men both graduated from university. One said, "Finally, no more studying." He focused only on his job and never opened another book. The other said, this is just the beginning. He read daily, took online courses, learned about business, leadership, and communication. 10 years later, the first man was still in the same position, complaining that life is unfair. The second had built his own company, trained others, and created financial freedom. The poor mindset sees learning as boring work. The rich mindset sees learning as the fastest way to grow. And here's the truth. The world is changing every day. If you stop learning, you fall behind. But if you keep learning, you stay ahead. That's why poor people stay the same. And that's why the rich keep rising. The seventh difference between poor and rich mindset is how they react to other people's success. Poor thinkers see someone succeed and feel jealous. They say things like, "He's just lucky. She probably cheated. They had rich parents." Jealousy gives them an excuse not to try. Because if success is only luck or unfair advantage, then why bother working hard? Rich thinkers see someone succeed and feel inspired. They ask, "What can I learn from this person? How did they do it? What habits or skills can I copy and apply in my own life?" Poor mindset wastes energy hating. Rich mindset uses energy learning. Here's a story. Two women both watched a successful speaker on stage. The first whispered, "She's showing off. I could never do that." The second thought, "She's amazing. I want to know how she speaks with such power." One walked away with envy. The other walked away with motivation. 10 years later, the first woman was still stuck, complaining about unfairness. The second was speaking on stages herself, inspiring thousands. The truth is simple. When you hate success, you push it away. When you admire success, you attract it closer. Poor mindset says, "I can't." Rich mindset asks, "How can I?" And that small change in reaction can change your entire destiny. The eighth difference between poor and rich mindset is how they see problems. Poor thinkers see a problem and immediately think it's the end. They say, "This is too hard. I can't handle this. Why does this always happen to me?" For them, problems are walls. Once they hit a wall, they stop. They complain, they feel unlucky, and they give up. Rich thinkers see a problem and think it's a beginning. They say, "What is this problem trying to teach me? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? What solution can I create that will help not only me, but also others?" For them, problems are doors. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity behind it. Here's an example. During a crisis, poor thinkers panic. They say, "We are doomed. Life is unfair." But rich thinkers create businesses during crises. They see what people need, they solve those needs, and they grow even in hard times. Think about history. Every invention, every business, every breakthrough started with a problem. Electricity, medicine, the internet, all born from challenges. The poor mindset avoids problems and stays weak. The rich mindset embraces problems and becomes strong. Here's the truth. If you want wealth, not only money, but wealth of knowledge, confidence, and freedom, you must stop running from problems. You must start solving them. Because problems are not the end. They are the path. The ninth difference between poor and rich mindset is how they treat time. Poor thinkers treat time like it's endless. They waste hours scrolling, gossiping, watching meaningless shows. They say things like, "I'll do it tomorrow. I have plenty of time. Relax, there's no hurry." But here's the truth. Tomorrow is never promised. And wasted time never comes back. Poor mindset spends time like it's free. Rich mindset spends time like it's gold. Rich thinkers know that every minute has value. They plan, they prioritize, they cut distractions. They ask, "Is this action bringing me closer to my goals? Is this the best use of my time right now?" That's why poor thinkers trade their time for small pleasures, while rich thinkers trade their time for building the future. Here's a story. Two men came home after work every evening. The first turned on the TV, watched for hours, and went to sleep. The second studied for 1 hour daily, learning new skills and improving himself. After 5 years, The first man had nothing but memories of TV shows. The second had a new career, more money, and more freedom. The poor mindset says, time is not important. Money is. But the rich mindset knows, time is life. Money can return, but time never will. And that is why the rich protect their time as the most precious treasure they have. The 10th difference between poor and rich mindset is the way they choose their environment. Poor thinkers surround themselves with people who keep them comfortable, friends who complain about the government, colleagues who gossip about the boss, family members who say, "Don't try, it's too risky. Just stay safe." They don't realize that environment is stronger than willpower. If you spend every day around people who think small, you will start thinking small too. Rich thinkers surround themselves with people who challenge them. They seek mentors, role models, ambitious friends. They ask, who is better than me at this skill? How can I learn from them? Who is ahead of me? And how can I follow their example? Instead of feeling jealous, they feel inspired. Instead of gossip, they talk about ideas, opportunities, and solutions. Here's a story. Two young men wanted to start businesses. The first spent evenings drinking with friends who laughed at his ideas. The second joined a group of entrepreneurs, asked questions, and learned from their experience. 5 years later, the first was still stuck, blaming luck. The second had built his own company, supported by the people who lifted him up. The poor mindset says, it doesn't matter who I spend time with. The rich mindset knows, your environment shapes your future. Because you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely, and your life will follow. The 11th difference between poor and rich mindset is their attitude toward comfort. Poor thinkers are addicted to comfort. They want an easy job, easy money, easy evenings. They say things like, I just want to relax. Why work so hard? Life is short. Don't stress, enjoy the moment. They avoid discomfort at all costs. But here's the paradox. By avoiding small discomfort today, they create huge discomfort tomorrow. Debt, regret, missed opportunities, a life that feels empty. Rich thinkers don't chase comfort. They chase growth. And growth always lives outside comfort. They choose the challenge of waking up early. They choose the discomfort of practicing skills instead of watching TV. They choose the risk of starting a project instead of waiting for the perfect time. Yes, it feels harder today, but tomorrow it brings freedom, pride, and opportunity. Here's an example. 2 students wanted to improve their English. One said, speaking is uncomfortable. People will laugh at my mistakes. I'll just study quietly. The other said, it's scary, but I'll speak anyway. After 1 year, the first student was still silent. The second was fluent. Comfort gave nothing. Discomfort gave everything. Poor mindset asks, what feels good now? Rich mindset asks, what will make me stronger later? That single choice separates average lives from extraordinary ones. The 12th difference between poor and rich mindset is their belief about money itself. Poor thinkers often believe money is evil. They say things like, rich people are greedy. Money changes people. If I become rich, others will hate me. This belief makes them push money away. Because deep inside, they fear that having wealth will make them bad. So they stay poor, not just in their wallet, but in their heart. Rich thinkers see money as neutral. Money is not good or bad. It is simply a tool. And like any tool, it depends on how you use it. With a hammer, you can build a house or break a window. With money, you can create jobs or destroy lives. The choice belongs to you. Here's an example. One man believes rich people are evil. He never saves, never invests, and when he sees someone succeed, he feels anger. His belief keeps him trapped. Another man believes money is freedom. He uses it to support his family, to travel, to help others. His belief opens doors. The poor mindset sees money as dirty. The rich mindset sees money as energy, a resource to shape the world. And here's the truth. If you secretly hate money, you will never attract it. But if you respect money and use it wisely, it will flow toward you. The 13th difference between poor and rich mindset is how they see failure. Poor thinkers treat failure as the end. They say, I tried once, it didn't work. I'm not good at this. So they stop forever. Rich thinkers treat failure as the beginning. They say, I tried once, it didn't work. Now I know one way that doesn't work. I'll try again smarter. Failure is not final. Failure is feedback. Failure is the price of progress. Every rich person you admire has a history of mistakes. But they didn't stop. They used those mistakes as fuel. The poor mindset fears failure and stays weak. The rich mindset embraces failure and becomes unstoppable. The 14th difference is how they see opportunities. Poor thinkers say, it's too risky. What if I lose? So they do nothing and nothing changes. Rich thinkers say, what if I win? What if this chance changes everything? So they take the step, and even if they lose, they learn. Here's the secret. Opportunities don't wait. They appear, they test you, and then they move on. If you don't act, someone else will. Poor mindset waits for the perfect chance. Rich mindset acts and creates chances. The 15th difference is their view of self-worth. Poor thinkers believe they are limited. They say, people like me can't be rich. I wasn't born into the right family. I'm just average. This belief kills them before they even begin. Rich thinkers believe wealth is a skill, not destiny. They say, I can learn. I can change. I can grow. They understand that success is not about where you start, but about where you decide to go. A poor mindset says, I can't. A rich mindset asks, how can I? That one question changes everything. Now you see the truth. Being poor or rich is not only about money in your pocket. It is about the mindset in your head. Poor thinkers spend instead of invest. They blame instead of taking responsibility. They fear risk, hate failure, waste time, and choose comfort. Rich thinkers grow instead of spend. They own their choices. They use risk, learn from failure, respect time, and chase growth. The difference is not luck. It's not fate. It's not magic. The difference is thinking. And here's the final message. If you change your mindset, you will change your life. If you think rich, you will live rich in money, in opportunities, in freedom, and in purpose. So the question is, will you keep the poor mindset that traps you? Or will you choose the rich mindset that sets you free? The choice is yours, and winners don't wait. If you're ready to break free and grow, subscribe to StoryVibe English right now. Don't think. Don't wait. Do it, because your future is waiting for you.